This is Things You Might Not Have Heard. I am Jay Cleveland Payne, and on for today in the Q8 news stories from me yesterday that you vetted as conversational that cover information, politics, current events, and pop culture. City, also the WNBA and the trial that we will all live through that one. And King Charles sort of gets a trial. We'll get to that and seven or five of the stories that are vetted by you as conversational today. We'll explain that vetting process in a moment, but want to remind you about the things to let you know up front. Our website, this is a conversationproject.com, our online home for all the details, all the stuff, what we give to you every single day, 24/7, 7 days a week, and our email address where you can complain about those things or hopefully give some compliments, but you'll probably complain at the conversation inbox at gmail.com. If I've not said it yet, today happens to be Tuesday, October the 22nd, 2024. And we have, as I said, 8 news stories that were vetted by you throughout what we posted in the day. Full explanation going on there. No particular order as they're being presented. They just sort of came out this way and what seemed like the best way to do the story. But we'll give you some context on how things got to be where they are based on how they got to be where they are. Let's start off right now with the first story we have for today. Story number one, headline number one. The headline reads, Central Park 5 members filed defamation lawsuit against Donald Trump over comments during the ABC News debate. Now, we're going back a few months at this point in time, but based on those words, some words said at the debate about the exonerated Central Park 5, the members have filed a defamation lawsuit against Donald Trump, the former president, for those words. Stems from those comments that made during the debate, which plaintiffs argue are false, misleading, and defamatory. Trump has made previous controversial statements about the Central Park 5, going all the way back to when the whole thing happened. Even though their convictions were vacated in 2022, he still contends that, well, they admitted it. They said they did it, so obviously they did something, and the lady died, and it gets even worse from there. Besides the fact that the conventions were overturned, vacated, and of course a settlement of over $40 million or so to pay them back for restitution. These guys are going against Trump directly. Trump is just saying this is more, or at least his camp is saying this is more like election interference, basically more people throwing up bad vibes at him while they're trying to elect him, being the people. This one will probably play out at some point in time unless Trump is voted back in office. Then these things will go away. This one's not going away anytime soon. This one's going to work itself out, and we're going to see a actual resolution for or against Daniel Penny, who is set to stand trial for the death of Jordan Neely right now. It's a trial beginning as with right now jury selection, things in the works for the case, gathering lots of public attention for this deal. Daniel Penny set to stand trial in the death of Jordan Neely, of course, happened in May of 2023 when Penny was a former Marine and was riding on the subway. Neely was a homeless man he put into chokehold during confrontation on the subway. Essentially, where things get confusing was Neely was belligerent, and Neely was asking for money and being a little bit angry about it. And then to just subdue him, Penny subdued him, put him in chokehold, and he later died from the actual incident. Trial's going to focus on the details of the altercation and whether Penny's actions were justified as self-defense. This one, of course, is going to play itself out very soon for all of us. This one may not be playing out soon enough for the things are coming up with this. And the counter for this one, I think we'll probably see this. We talk about tomorrow as Diddy's camp believe they have what they need to get him out of his confinement, out of being held while he's waiting for the big trial with all the other trials to deal with. But right now, we're talking specifically about 7 civil lawsuits, brand new sexual assaults and rape lawsuits for civil lawsuits against Sean Diddy Combs. More of them against minors as well. The span between 1990s and 2022, so way back when to right about now. Allegations of multiple plaintiffs, including accusations of sexual misconduct involving a minor, which is becoming a big thing, and lots of drugs and alcohol and lots of coercion in the process. The cases are part of the growing legal battles for the music mogul, who has denied all claims. And I believe there's like 200 claims at this point in time. And this is not the racketeering. These are just the personal claims. Lawsuits have brought the renewed attention to Combs' past conduct, intensifying the scrutiny on him, as you believe. This thing can't go fast enough for Sean Combs, or maybe not as fast, so he can find ways to get out of it. Biggest thing they're trying to do right now is get him out of jail, which we don't know if that's actually going to be something they'll take care of, but his camp believe they have what they need to get him out of confinement for now. Let's go back to the weekend and weekend sports and back to Texas. As everyone, literally everyone in the mama is jumping on Texas for what's happening. Now, the SEC is going to put the work into there, and Texas Texas has been fined $250,000 and had to apologize to Georgia for the officials because of the fan behavior at the game. Now, remember, this big chunk of money is being spent because Texas versus Georgia was a football game. Because of a call that the fans thought was terrible, the fans of Texas threw trash in the field. While they were cleaning up trash, because it was a 10-minute delay to get that cleared up, the officials got together and overturned the call. Whether the call was really, really bad or the officials were afraid they weren't leaving that stadium that night, we don't know. The reality is Georgia actually won the game anyway, so it didn't really matter in the overall scheme of things. As I say when I talk about sports, if you're mad at the refs, you should have scored more points, which is there. But Georgia, the Georgia Bulldogs, the team, the athletic directors, folks behind that just got really pissed off about it. The SEC was not happy, and Texas had to basically apologize to a whole lot of people and pay a bunch of money. And they're going to do more things to make sure measures are kept so that fan conduct is held back in future events. Even Matthew McConaughey was like, look, guys, we can't be doing all this stuff. We're Texas, y'all. I don't do impressions because they're so bad, just like that one. We're not going to show what behaviors they'll have to curb these events in the future. I'm not sure how well they're going to start dropping students for acting like ignorant fools, but we're going to see better conduct out of Texas, I guess. Take a quick moment, pause from the news. 4 stories down, 4 more to go for this morning. But let's get into a point where we are asking for your assistance. The first time, we'll ask for your assistance a couple times inside of the show, but this is a time to let us know how we're doing. So if you like what you're watching, hit the like button, hit the heart on whatever thing, or if you don't like some stories in particular, not so much us, hit the emoji face on Facebook that goes along with it. Maybe you want to show some love and caring. Maybe you want to show a little mad face. Maybe you want to go like, wow, that story about Texas. Wow. Hit the engagement button you like to show people what engagement we're giving, how engaging we are with you guys in the stories you give that you engage and to give to us. We'll explain that in a bit. Share these news articles, share these videos, share our stuff with other folks who enjoy news in this case. Some news that gets kind of lost in the shuffle that you may not get in your mainstream stuff, and some news that is way off the beaten path sometimes, but also something that is meant to be conversational. This is not just a pure monologue. This is literally me talking back and forth with you on some of these things. We give you the details, give you a little bit of my perspective, and let you chit chat on the way. Oh, you can please comment as well. And subscribe if you're not subscribed to our work so that we have more people getting stuff as it comes down. We produce this thing here called Things You Might Not Have Heard. We launch at about 5:30 a.m. Central Time every weekday morning. This is followed up by Things You Might Ought to Know at about 6:05 weekday mornings as well. So we get notifications for when we're live to watch us if you're up. If not, when you check your feeds, you'll see us and you can get the news as you want it. How about that? Now back to the news, and now back to the WNBA. Again, we're still not talking about the Liberty and their great win. We're talking about all players as they are currently opting out of the CBA with a potential work stoppage on the way. CBA stands for Collective Bargaining Agreement, which they had a chance to opt out on this year anyway. It just was what happened. It didn't really matter that they had such a banner season or the fact that they lost only $40 million instead of $50 million. And that makes a difference. The stoppage is because, well, the stoppage doesn't happen yet. That comes from the fact that they have to go to the table and renegotiate the union with the league. Now, yesterday's story was about how the bosses in the NBA, who is actually footing the bill for the WNBA, aren't happy with the fact that they're losing money, and they never are. But they've been losing money the whole time. But after this stellar breakout season of great things, they still lost a big chunk of money. $40 million is a big chunk of money. The decision to not deal with the collective bargaining agreement and to actually go back to the bargaining table to make things work may mean lockouts, may mean strikes, may mean players won't play and get proper payment for getting started for next season, and could delay any actual further benefits that they got from this season. We shall see. The headline for story number 6, quote, "You are not my king," unquote. Indigenous Australian senator yells at visiting King Charles. An Indigenous Australian senator made headlines this past week by proclaiming very loudly, "You are not my king," during King Charles's visit to Australia. The outburst is part of a broader movement among Indigenous Australians and Republicans who feel that the British monarchy does not represent them, given its historical and colonial connections. Basically, Britons were bad to folks. There's a reason why America is America and not another Britain. Same issue with Australia, although they have a very different, they had a different sort of history with their indigenous and their people there, of course, being known as the land where they sent all the prisoners. That's a whole nother story. The statement reflects on ongoing debates in Australia about its ties to the monarchy and the push for republicanism. Now, this is a weird thing with the monarchy. We don't understand it. We look at it as like, wow, hey, this is how Bridgerton works, right? And it's not quite that. The Canadians seem to love their monarchs. They love their king and queens and stuff like that. Nobody else is all that down with them, unfortunately. Maybe in the islands, maybe in the Caribbean, but everybody else seems to be not so great with the monarchy the way it is. So you have to kind of read the story, go deeper and tell what's going on to this one and understand what's happening. The indigenous people, essentially the Aborigines, folks of those lands, and indigenous of Australia, are still seeing the British as colonizers. We can see how that one can be a thing. Here's the thing. There are Russian troops, or there are troops in North Korea in Russia doing something. And South Korea kind of wants them out of there because it seems like it's going to be a problem for them, South Korea, eventually. South Korea has officially demanded the immediate withdrawal of North Korean troops allegedly stationed in Russia. The South Korean government summoned the Russian ambassador in response to reports that North Korea forces are assisting Russia in its conflict with Ukraine. These reports have heightened tensions, prompting Seoul to call for an urgent response from Moscow. We'll see how the response goes. South Korean officials are seeking clarity to the situation, expressing concerns over North Korea's involvement in the war, that war in particular. Now, if you got to get troops from someplace, North Korea seems like a pretty good place to get them from because they seem desperate for anything that seems like a bit of a handshake, some sort of level of saying we understand you, we agree with you, and cash and food sounds like a great thing for what we know of, or I'll say what we believe we know of North Korea, because we don't really know. However, if this is how they're conscripting more folks to fight in Ukraine, using another nation to fight for this nation, which they've said they've used for folks like Belarus and things like that, South Korea has a beef to contend with, or beef to find out there and can contend with it, and we'll see how their beef goes. We will see how this goes, if Moscow actually responds or if they just sort of do the Moscow thing and keep on doing what they're doing. Our eighth story for the day is a story that's really about me. It's about the state of Arkansas. It's about voting. It's all within stuff. And right now, there are plenty of motions afoot to, I'm going to say it like this way, suppress votes. They're being touted as ways to protect the votes. But essentially, they're not trying to make it for more people to get more chances to get their vote in. They're looking for more ways to eliminate votes in places where they think might be issues, i.e. someone thinks they're losing, so they want to stop counting votes if they think they're ahead. Here in Arkansas, I may have been disenfranchised yesterday on our first day of early voting, but let's read the article as the robot editor edited it, and we'll go from there. The headline for the story is "Votes Won't Be Counted for Arkansas Medical Marijuana Ballot Measure," court says. Arkansas Supreme Court has ruled that votes cast on the state's medical marijuana ballot measure will not be counted. The decision came after legal challenges questioning the validity of the proposal, ultimately leading to its removal from the ballot. This means that although some voters may have cast their votes for the measure, these votes will not be tallied in final election results. As that is said, early voting by absentee, people had their ballots, months ago. They could have put them in the mail a few days ago and got started. Early voting by showing up to the polls happened yesterday. I early voted fairly early in the morning, and then a few hours later, this article came out from our local paper, and then I got an issue of it. The one we posted was from AP, but then our local officials or local news started talking about this. Now, it's too late to change any ballots, obviously, so you're going to vote on it, or you're going to get a chance to vote on it, but the Supreme Court says they're not counting it. And this is one thing, going personal for a second, of all the, on one of the odder things about this presidential election is that here, at least in my county, there was a lack of people to vote for. We only had one state rep who was up for had a slot up for grabs. A couple judges, which I should have paid more attention to about when I actually looked at it. About 5 amendments total. One's on casino gambling. We have 2 sales taxes that were local for my city. A couple other ones that were kind of important. And this one, which oddly enough was the longest one on there. It was confusing. It was all over the place. I should have read deeper into it before going to vote for it, because when I read it, the whole screen was taken up by this ballot, while the other ones were, tiny bits. The whole screen took up all the writing on this one, so it was a bit confusing. I voted in favor, I believe, of expanding medical marijuana rights across the state, because I voted for the amendment, which I think was for expanding, making it bigger. As I'm saying right now, doesn't really matter how I voted, because they're not going to count them. How they're going to deal with this initiative, they'll try to probably put it back on the ballot for the next upcoming election next year, because they'll have to get more signatures or whatnot to make it all happen. But at this point in time, we being Arkansans, aren't getting a chance to vote on the expansion of medical marijuana, because the Supreme Court says the ballot initiative ain't quite right. If you're in Arkansas, I'd love to get your comments on this one. If you're not, and you've seen all the stories you've done so far about people getting the rights to votes and losing rights to votes and losing rights to votes, comment on this one, because this is going to be something in literally 14 days, 2 weeks from now, when the counting for the big ones start. We'll be talking about who's getting their vote in going forward. Let's go to our teaser story for this morning. This is a story that we are teasing. This is a story that we may talk about tomorrow if you deem it worthy of a chit chat on that. And it's really simple to deem it worthy of the chit in the chat. You just tell us, literally, this is worthy of a chit in the chat. Go to our feeds on Facebook, on X, and on Threads, and engage in the stories. The higher stories that get engagement, the better chance we have to talk about them moving forward. It is extremely simple. Go to facebook.com/this is the conversation project, x.com/th_conversation, and threads.net/@this is the conversation. Every 50 minutes or so, we post news articles that let you know what's going on in the world from various sources. Some you love, some you're not going to like very much. Some we question ourselves, where we say, hey, let's see what people want to go with this one. And we go through a full day of the weekend, a full weekend of time, giving you a chance to check the feeds and see what you like, don't like, and what gets engaging. Higher score for engagement, for likes, for loves, for emoji faces that are hitting things, for shares, for comments. The higher engagement score a story gets, better chance we have of talking about it. We'll take the top half of the stories for today, about 30 stories in total. Take about 15 or so of those based on their engagement. Pick 8 for you tomorrow and the rest of the week. Today, tomorrow, and the rest of the week. It's just that simple. If you want to get in on the game, you have to get in the game. Clemson approves new athletic fee of $300 per student. Clemson is the latest school to actually charge its regular body of students to help pay for the NIL money that they want to give to the players, the athletes, because only football and basketball basically make any money. The gymnastics team, the volleyball team, the hockey teams that are kind of slow, they need to get paid too. They need something. And since the other guys can get endorsements, they need to bring people in. And right now, what happens is $300. Not much in the grand scheme of things, but the grand scheme of things makes it much. Is this a story worth talking about tomorrow? We shall see. Today, we had the chance, based on your engagement, to talk about the Dodgers and the Mets and getting ready for the World Series starting on Friday. It just sort of got bumped for other stories. Like I said, there was about 16 stories we had to look for that were basically good in range. This one contended, but unfortunately, we'll talk about more World Series. We have plenty of World Series to talk about. We had to talk about the WNBA lockout going forward and the issue with the man and the choking in the subway in New York City, because that's going to become a really big deal really, really fast in our news cycles. Let's go to our spotlight sponsor for the day, and it is Hostage Tape, the most comfortable mouth tape on the planet in existence. And mouth tape sounds like a very funny thing to talk about, but it is a real thing. Revolutionary, designed to improve your sleep and boost your energy, enhance your health. So check it out by using a small strip of tape that puts across your mouth. It keeps your mouth closed throughout the night or throughout the day if you want to. Just it keeps your mouth closed. So if you have issues with talking too much, I guess you can put it on your mouth and go to a meeting and people look at you funny. But it's probably better for your health if you just wear it at night when you sleep, because it keeps you from snoring. It keeps your mouth closed. Snoring comes from your mouth opening up and trying to breathe in and out through your mouth. If you're not doing that, you're not snoring. If you're breathing through your mouth or your nose, you get better oxygen flow. Your rest is less disrupted, and you probably feel better in the morning. You should try it. If you're not down with the tape, they have strips go up your nose that opens your nose up as well. Try that as well. If the tape seems just a little odd, try hostage tape on nose strips. And you might want to try them now because I have a sinking suspicion they're going to come up with a brand new big sale really soon. And when they do that, they tend to sell out and then have to wait to be repackaged. So people buy these large packages, they stock up on these things for a while, and then they have to stock back up. So maybe you want to get ahead of the game and stock up now. And you want to do that so you can sleep better and live better by going to our link at thisistheconversationproject.com/hostage tape. This is theconversationproject.com/hostage tape. Why our link? This is affiliate link, and all of our sponsors are affiliate sponsors. So we get a commission for you buying. So we need you to buy from them through us to help pay the bills around here. It's that simple. They're all affiliate links. So if you buy from them, we get a small commission, costs you nothing extra, and you get taken care of just as well. Plus, we get taken care of as well. How's that for everybody being together? So check it out. This is the best, the most comfortable mouth tape on the planet, and it'll help you sleep and feel better going forward. It is called Hostage Tape. Quick moment to do the hype stuff. Let's hype the Conversation Project real quick. The Conversation Project lives online at thisisconversationproject.com, where you can find all the details about us, our backstory, and all the front story, if you will, forward things that include things that we have done because it's archived, our newsletters, which are archives of our news stories, our videos, things we put out there, our short takes, our hot takes, our quick takes, all the takes, all you want, and links to all the places we are on. TikTok, we're on YouTube, we're on X, we're on Threads, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on Threads. I said that twice. We also have an email newsletter we want you to check out as well. And just the love that we give for you is there. So check it out at our website, our home online. This is theconversationproject.com. We ask you to consider being a partner and help us directly fund and work with things to get things going. And if you can't do that, or we're not quite worthy of that yet, we're working on it. Make sure you're following us on the feeds, Facebook, X, and Threads, letting us know what stories to chat up each morning. And of course, emailing us with your comments and concerns. We'll take those. You don't have to be a paid member, a partner to let us know what's going on. Email us at theconversationinbox@gmail.com and let us know what we can do to improve on the stuff. It is all that simple. We will work towards you because we work for you. And that work for you is done for this day, this Tuesday, October the 2nd, the 22nd, 2 there, 2024. I am Jay Cleveland Payne. I'm thanking you so much for being a part of the family, hanging out with us for this newsy thing, and just being awesome, to be honest. Have a great week. Have a great day. We will need you here tomorrow to watch the show and listen to our things. We also need you here all day long to tell us what stories to talk about. That's in our feeds, Facebook, X, and Threads. And if you want to stick around for a few minutes, coming down the pike here, if you're watching us live, it is 5:55 in the morning. In about 5 minutes, we'll reset, hit the button, and give you things you might ought to know, the fun stuff in his own bite-sized companion video set. So you'll have today's birthdays, today's history lesson, and a fun thing to celebrate today, an interesting, quirky thing to celebrate. So you might want to check that out today as well. So stick around for that. We're coming in right about 5 minutes after we hit some buttons and do some saving of stuff. So it works like that. Otherwise, love you, mean it, and prep for a great Tuesday, prep for a great week, prep for great things you ought to know, and just prep for a great day for yourself. Let's get out of here. Done for the day. We'll see you again with another edition of things you might not have heard, the Wednesday edition, quirkily enough, on Wednesday.